Hey everyone, welcome back in celebration as we continue celebrating, that is, Black History Month. Gallery 18 at the Riverdale Y has created an exhibition showcasing the Black Lives Matters movement through art. And the theme and title of the exhibition is If Not Now, When? And it seeks to capture the spirit of movement and spark conversations surrounding the racial divide in America. Joining us to tell us more, we welcome curator Maria Neuda and visual artists Dennis Shelton and Ken Jackson. Hello and welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you for being here with us. So Maria, let's start with you as the curator of this exhibition and what that's been like for you based on, well, you know, the new norm of having to pivot in the way we're curating and dealing and communicating and or probing through different artwork to even establish an exhibition.
It's very personal for me because you can tell looking at me that I've acquired a certain number of birthdays. And I never thought at this point in my life that I would be living through a historic moment. And in fact, I'm living through two. And that is the pandemic, as well as the eruption of the Black Lives Matter protests this summer following the killing of George Floyd all over the world. And that intersection of those two moments brought me up short, as I'm sure it did a whole lot of people, and said to me, what's my role here? What do I do in this moment? Do I let history pass me by? Or do I step in some way? And that dovetailed very, very nicely with the words of Hillel the Elder, who it was a very influential, very important Jewish religious leader, by all accounts, a very compassionate man. And he had a number of very interesting statements to make, but there is one that is well known, and it's in three parts. And the first part is, if I am not for myself, then who is for me? And that's the responsibility to stand up on your own. And the second part is, but if I am only for myself, then what am I? And that's the responsibility to take care of others. And the third is, if not now, when?
Right. And
that really spoke to me because it said, this is the moment to seize, you know, because I know how it is when we go back to normal. People forget the revelations of what the pandemic taught us, which is, if people really need to know, the great social inequities in this country. And so I wanted to hold that in front of people with this exhibit. And that's what If Not Now, When is all about. And I want to acknowledge the two jurors, by the way, right now, Ken Jackson and Dennis Shelton, because you need people who have the experience, the knowledge, the body of work to be able to evaluate other people's work, other artists' work. And I was so lucky to have them, so blessed, so happy, because they did such a fabulous job, and I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Well, thank you for that, because I'd like to hear from them as well. Dennis Shelton, we can start with you. Don't forget to unmute yourself. I love that she referenced you guys as jurors. I mean, I introduced you as artists, but obviously you come with a lot more than that. Just share with us what your process was and what this means to you, what this is all about for you.
Well, I'm very happy to be part of the show, and it was a great experience to be a juror. I work with wood assemblage, broken pieces, unrelated pieces, and I put them together to create a whole. So to do that and to also have a message to address this time that we're going through was a powerful experience for me.
And so, Ken, again, these opportunities that are being presented right now are just merely a means of expressing yourself or expressing us. I relate to it as well as a person of color. And what Maria said was that this was being brought to the forefront, but truth be told, is like, it's always been there. It's just being like focused on because of the disparities and the inequities. So having it mounted during Black History Month, what do you hope people are really going to take away from this?
Well, I'd like to see people begin to talk about it like we're talking about it. Like I always see art as artists, as recorders of time. So when you look back at this time, you will see what went on and what's going on now and why we're doing the pieces we do. That is the importance of doing this show. So we have everyone talking to each other about what's going on and how they feel and how we are to address this. Especially for me as being in the schools and being an art educator, to be able to express that to my students and to everyone viewing the art, which is most important.
The art piece that you have on display actually has the face of George Floyd on it, who is basically, you know, unfortunately somebody who transitioned during the height of this pandemic and has become like this movement, right? Because it's unfortunate that this has been going on way before this. It's just that this particular incident just pretty much put a halt to like enough is enough. What does a piece like that hold in value?
It's not just George Floyd. Like you said, this has been going on. So this piece is basically, you know, me looking at everybody, I see this. We all see this. And these people's names are not to be forgotten. Like Eric Garner, you know, Breonna Taylor, or, you know, Tamir Rice. Nobody's talking about them anymore. It's like they're forgotten. Anthony Baez. It's like they're forgotten. You know, Michael Brown. That's why I did this piece. And I wanted to put all their faces. If I could have put more faces, I would have put more. But because it's just ridiculous how many and how this goes on and nobody really addresses it. And the importance of George Floyd, people start to address it and they start to talk about it. So it became a movement, and Black Lives Matter became, you know, central in the movement.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Black Lives Matter has been going on for a while now, but before I wanted to just talk a little bit about your piece's status. I know you gave us a little bit of insight, but the fact that you reference it as two separate Americas, let's just talk a little bit about that from your perspective.
Well, we live in America, but we're separate from the general goodness of America. So in my piece, you see we have the American flag, but we have interspersed within that American flag the Black Liberation flag, which represents people of color. And so the sizes are different, the levels are different, but we're still part of the whole.
Right, I get it. And so what I noticed is that your pieces, they kind of resemble each other, but they also represent almost like a different period or a different aspect, like maybe a different day or a different chapter, but yet they still hold the same message.
Well, the message is the same no matter what we're experiencing. And as Ken said, this has been going on forever. And we need to stop this. We need to come together as one America, one people, one message, and it needs to stop.
From your mouth to God's ears, and that's what we're all working on together collectively. And that leads me to you, Maria, to close out the segment and sharing some insight behind some of the other artists being exhibited, as well as when the exhibition is going to be on display.
It's on. It went up. Yes, I was going to say yesterday. It's from February 1st to March 1st. I just want to say, jumping off what Shelton said, this exhibit was meant to be as interactive as possible, so that people are actually faced with questions, and they're also faced with not only the image but the words of the artists that accompany every image. So I just want people to take away from this particular exhibit, what do I do? Yeah. And so if the only thing, if you're going to, if I'm going to look at the audience and say, if the only thing you do is pass on the link to your friends and through social media, you will have taken a step because people say, oh, what can I do? You know, but it's the little steps and it's the accumulation of those steps that count. And it really has to be put in front of people's faces and kept there so that there is a dialogue and there are steps.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for bringing it here to our viewers. And I mean, you know, considering the circumstances, we would all love to be in the actual physical space, admiring the artwork up close and personal. Yeah. However, based on it being virtual, it now broadens the audience. So it's available to everybody worldwide, right?
May I just add that the reception will be February the 14th, noon to 2 p.m. to 1:30.
Yeah,
absolutely.
30. Yes, thank you.
Yes, yes, on Valentine's Day. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, artist Dennis Shelton, Ken Jackson, and of course, curator Maria Neuda. You guys, if not now, when? We'll be on virtual display from February 1st to March 1st with a virtual opening reception on Sunday, February 14th from 12 to 2 p.m. And of course, the link for more information is riverdaley.org/community/gallery18. All right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll speak to African-American entrepreneur about her plant-based skincare line. You don't want to go anywhere.